Tibet Advocacy section of the Department of Information and International Relations of Central Tibetan Administration has organized 3 consecutive VTAC strategic meetings and trainings in 3 different regions this month. The meeting-cum-training took place in Germany, Dharamshala, and Australia. In today's episode of In Conversation, we have here with us the DIIR Tibet Advocacy section head, Dukten Kyi, and 3 VTAC regional coordinators from Europe, Australia, and India. We have Tenzin Paldon from Poland, Tenzin Paldon from Newcastle, Australia, who will be joining us virtually, and Kelsang Lhadon Teykhang from Dharamshala. We will discuss more on the outcome of the meeting and adoption of action plan that follows. Tashidelek, and welcome to our program.
Tashidelek.
So to start with Dukten, so VTAC is entering its 3rd year. How would you like to describe its evolution and achievements so far?
Well, VTAC, which is short for Voluntary Tibet Advocacy Group, launched by the current Kashak in 2021, exactly 2 years ago, is a platform, a global platform where Tibetans around the world can come together to do mainly advocate for Tibet, right? So the tagline, which is Tibetans for Tibet, I think it says it very clearly in that this platform is for, although we focus more on Tibetan youth, the younger generation, taking and sharing the responsibility for resolving the Sino-Tibet conflict. We have members, from 16, 18 years to the eldest or most seniors being in 70s and 75 years old as well. So every contribution and every participation from our VTAC members are crucial in making this, the reason why VTAC was formed in the first place, a successful one. Because this platform calls for the unified efforts from all Tibetans, from all walks of life, to share their talents, their skills, and their commitments and time in taking part in advocacy activities in their own region, and to strengthen the already existing Tibetan advocacy at the international level. In terms of achievement, VTAC, as I mentioned, it's a global platform for Tibet advocacy, right? It's only been 2 years for a global initiative. So we are yet to see the achievement part, but in the last 2 years, I think having more than 470, 80 Tibetans from all around the world, providing that platform for these many Tibetans, and to be able to bring them together and to to provide them the opportunity to not only network among themselves, but also mainly to discuss the possibilities for Tibet advocacy activities in their own specific regions. I think that itself is an achievement. Not to mention the multiple advocacy activities that Tibetan VTAC members have carried out in these 2 years, including virtual campaigns, signature campaigns, meeting specific representatives in the community. These are just few examples, but then there are more to go. So we are eagerly looking forward for more advocacy activities from the VTAC members. Yeah, in summer this year, we had the International Tibet Youth Forum that brought together over 100 Tibetans around the world, not just necessarily VTAC members, but potential Tibetan youth who could contribute towards this, overall goal. So this was like the regional meetings that we have had, as you rightly mentioned, 3 regional meetings that we had this month. was a follow-up to that International Youth Forum.
Kelsang La, what inspired you to become a member?
Sure. My name is Kelsang Lhadon Teykhang. I am a certified Operation Excellence professional with nearly 2 decades of experience in finance and administration management. Currently, I am working with National Democratic Institute in Dharamshala, Office of Dharamshala, in the capacity of Finance and Administration Manager. I also represent WeTag India, specifically the North Zone of WeTag members. I am the regional coordinator. It is known that Tibetan cause resonates with every Tibetan. I joined WeTag with the conviction to contribute to the best of my ability and to advocate for Tibet in whatever manner that I can, as big or small. As the tagline goes for WeTag, Tibetans for Tibet. If not us, then who? How can we expect others to advocate for us if we don't?
Wonderful. And also the same question for Saldon and Bedunla.
Okay, Tashlek, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm Tenzin Paldon, currently living in city of Łódź in Poland and working as a failure and reliability engineer at ABB. So the question about what inspires me, as Kelsang La mentioned it already, I think it's genuinely kind of related, closely related to how proud I feel when I call myself as a Tibetan. So I think this one is more, I take it as a responsibility of us, like the youth. And now I think it's our time, our parents and the great grandparents, they already did what they could. And seeing their determination, hard work to the cause really inspired me a lot as well. So for me, that's the inspiration. And of course, and growing up under the guidance of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I don't think I have to mention it, like how grateful that we feel. And yeah, so for me, it's more like I take it as a responsibility of an individual.
Hello, my name is Tenzin Paldon, and I've recently been appointed as a regional coordinator for Newcastle for the WeTag Australia group. I am currently a practicing lawyer with a Bachelor of Business and honours in law. I recently joined WeTag as a member and attended the meeting because I thought it was important to join in any movement or activity involving the Tibet advocacy, Tibet situation, and also important to uplift other youth in engaging with these kind of activities. And yes, that's that.
Can you tell us what was the purpose of the strategic meeting and training this time, and are you planning to conduct similar training elsewhere in the future?
Yeah, like I said, the strategic meeting and training, it came in 2 parts actually. One was to train them in terms of the participants, WeTag members, so that they would be acclimatized with the Tibetan history, for example, what the CTA is about, the Tibetan struggle for the last 60, 70 years, and then the current human rights situation. These were few of the topics that were discussed, and we had speakers traveling on these topics. But the main or major part of the strategic meeting was to come together for the WeTag members and to strategize, their plans for the coming months or years. So this was the main objective. In terms of whether we have plans to do similar strategic meeting, well, we'll have to see. At this point, I would I mean, one of the VTAG members shared his thoughts, which I think is very important, where he said that, you know, in the summer meeting, we had action plans. This time also we had action plans. Now, you know, we have made several plans. Now it's time to act. So I think we can take forward from that. And then if there's a need, we will see in the future.
All right, and this next question is for three of the members. So since all three of you have participated in this training recently, so I'd like to know your experience of attending those training, and how has the training helped you in understanding and learning and employing advocacy skills?
So I recently attended the VTAG Australia Strategy meeting and advocacy training last week, which was held over 2 days. On the first day, we had a number of guest speakers, such as Senator Janet Rice. We had Honourable Kevin Andrews, who was the former Defence Minister of Australia. We also had Gabrielle Lafat, who is a specialist in climate change and who is an advocate for just climate actions in Tibet. One of the most insightful things I learned from the speakers was from Honourable Kevin Andrews, who gave me an insight onto Parliament's views and their stance with Tibet and China, CCP, and relationships with trade and economic development. And I can see from this discussion that Australia has put Tibet at the very bottom of their list, and I can see that we need to continue advocating in Parliament and raising awareness of the issues in Tibet. And this is why I believe that the VTAG action plan that we have put into place, which I will speak later on, would enable an increased voice in Tibet in Parliament.
So in Europe, actually, depending on the demographic of Tibetans in their respective countries, so there are like actually participants from 8 different countries, and the first days we had also speeches from the Europe MPs and also the representative from the Office of Tibet. And we also had advocacy training by the experts from International Tibet Network and the Tibetan Advocacy Coalitions as well. So personally, for a person who's living by herself in a city where there's no Tibetan, it's quite refreshing, I must say. And also the dedication and the spirit of the younger generation is quite inspiring as well. So yes, we did make a plan and what we want to do, but with this kind of meeting, I think it's kind of like I don't know, some kind of catalyst for us to motivate us to do something more for the Tibet cause. Yes.
From the International Youth Forum to the most recent meeting that we had, I felt reassured by seeing the younger generation's willingness to learn more about how they can contribute, their spirit to contribute, just as you mentioned by my other colleague. So there were youngsters who were unwell. There were a few who had other meetings to attend, who had to travel, who invested their time from their college breaks and came here to learn about what they can learn and contribute more. As for the older generation, we are so thankful to be who has worked continuously, tirelessly to keep the Tibet cause alive till date under the guidance and blessings of His Holiness. We have, even now, one of the VTAC members, Wangila, he is almost 75 years old. And he is a VTAC member who still exudes the same energy to contribute for the cause. As we say, again, I would like to stress on, how much of a collaborative effort it needs for a cause to sustain and to, to further down and to make a bigger impact. On our first day and the second, we had the privilege to have Saldon Rinpoche, who is a former Khalin Tipa, and we had CRO Tawangla and ISKCO representative Tashila, who reiterated on the importance of advocacy in India. Us having a status of Sharnati, like we say, right, the refugee in this country, and how much of an impact it makes when there is a certain movement or a support, displayed by the Indian government. Not only Indian government, but the root, the grassroots level. There are the population is like 1.4 billion in India. It is very hard to reach to every Indians in India, because we ourselves are very, numbers are dwindling. But we have India VTAG is the largest number, has the largest number of membership. We are 152 as of today. So the effort is that advocating in India and how to advocate in India, the exchanges that we had between ourselves during these sessions has helped each one of us to gain that confidence. And it also stressed on, or it also displayed that if one is willing to contribute, you need not be associated with a certain organization or a certain ideology. This platform, irrespective of ideologies and irrespective of your gender, your age, you are given that platform. We have created a group, a support group around us, that if one has an idea and one needs certain support from anybody, there are members within your region who can work together with you to have your ideas implemented for the cause of Tibet.
What do you recognize as the major outcome of this training, as the members have right now shared their experience of their learnings and their training in the advocacy? And in what ways Tibet Advocacy section of the DIIR collaborated to work with the VTAG members? I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, so this month, like you mentioned, we have organized 3 VTAG strategy meeting and training, right? We also plan to do a similar one in North America. But the question you asked, I think the answer has already been provided by our 3 coordinators and VTAG members here. What we, the outcome, if you say so, from these 3 regional meetings, I think first and foremost, it's very difficult for these, like Pedrina mentioned, young, inspiring and talented pool of Tibetan around the world to come together. So in Europe, for example, and in Australia, likewise in India, to have those group of Tibetans under one roof for 2 to 3 days to discuss and, not just in terms of work part, but for Tibetans to be able to meet each other and to, spend time together discussing on, any other topics that they are interested about. We made it very sure that the, locations are little aloof, so that, we will have the maximum outcome from the meeting, as in the terms of in all the 3 regions we had late night discussions, sometimes sharing of cultural dances and talents and singings. So these are all part of the bigger plan, as in like, first being able to meet other Tibetan youth with similar motive and commitment to do something for Tibet. And then, the VTech work part, having the plans laid out for at least the next few months, if not for years, right? So that's, I think, would be the outcome of at least what we have expected from the regional meetings. And as organizers, we were very, very much inspired and encouraged from the discussions to the engagement of the participants in all these three regions. Yeah.
And talking about the action plans, I'd like to ask the VTech members, the regional coordinators. First, with the Europe regional coordinators, Paldon, can you briefly tell us about the action plans and how do you plan to go forward with advocacy for Tibet in your respective countries?
Sure. So I think that, as I mentioned before as well, so in Europe, we have like 8 different countries, so they have their own plans. So maybe I will focus on what we plan as a, like VTech from Poland, we planned it. So the focus where, I think if I will say about the VTech Poland, I think somehow it will relate to the other respective countries as well. The main focus is the sustenance of the VTech under the local umbrella. So how we want to sustain it, right? So, and probably I would like to mention also that we kind of started taking our actions, which is the goal was to recruit a new VTech member. So as we also mentioned it during our presentation, that we would like to meet with the Tibetans. We have like, in Poland, we have 20 to 25 Tibetans only. So, so we want to meet them personally and then, share our experience, how the meeting went and what inspired us and how the situation looks like and what are the action plans that we have. So we did manage to share it, at least for those who joined the Thakur Goshe at the university. We managed to speak with them and they joined as well. So I'm also kind of moving forward with getting the list of the people who joined so that we can start the next action, which is to organize some kind of a meeting, be it face-to-face, be it virtual, and also discuss something related to Tibet. It doesn't have to be like, focus on the advocacy itself. It can be anything about Tibet and Tibetan issues or the culture or anything. So, and also we choose the topic for the first one, which is the recently PRC published, I think it's in November this year, the white paper on Tibet. So me and my other VTech members, we decided to go through it and then discuss it during the meetings. And also the other countries, they also, they started way before, because I didn't manage to join the International Youth Forum, which held in India. But I think after that meeting, they already started, for example, the Office of Tibet and the Geneva, I'm sure that they already started this monthly kind of meeting with the VTech members to share their experiences and to educate. I think the most important thing for us is to educate ourselves first before we start advocating to others, right? So that was like kind of same thoughts among, I think, all the countries that, we should learn first ourselves and then start advocating. And then also we have like we decided to focus on the advocacy on the local level as well, and the creating an advocacy calendar kind of, because each country, they got their own events and they're happening, right? So we decided to make a calendar and accordingly how to put in our Tibet issue and relate to that one. For example, recently there's the International Children's Day. So some of the, for example, VTech members from Belgium, and I think if I'm not wrong, from Germany itself, they talked about the recent problems that our Tibetan children are facing in Tibet, right? So So these are the some of the actions which we took it. But then, as I mentioned, like, there are more to depending on the demographic of Tibetans in the different regions. So they are even focusing more on the, for example, the parliament and going more level up there. Yeah.
Thank you. And Cyrilla, can you also share, tell us about your action plan?
So in our meeting, we had several regional coordinators selected for each different region, or really the main states in Australia. And overall, I can see that we all have very similar action plans, which is to, like Tibetan said, recruit new members, which was done following the meeting. Especially in Newcastle, we arranged a small social gathering of some youth and already started recruiting new members. But then in the bigger picture, our objective and action is to engage, identify with, and build relationships with members of parliaments, which I know that some states already have developed these relationships, but continue on building these relationships, reaching out to different members of parliament and advocating on the Tibet issue. And we have a all-party parliamentary group for Tibet, which is a group formed by MPs and other government officials with the purpose of amplifying Tibet's voice in parliament. And we hope that they join this group to increase, I guess, our voice in parliament. And yes, this would be achieved through what we will plan to do is organize some training workshops and develop VTAG members in their advocacy and lobbying skills. And we hope this is a, in the time frame of, 1 year, where we kind of start progressing with these actions. But overall, yes, we hope to start doing it very soon.
Okay, thank you. And Kesala, can you tell us your action plan from Dharamshala, and how do you plan to go forward with the advocacy for Tibet in India, basically?
Not specifically for Dharamshala, but I would like to talk more about India as a country. To conduct any kind of activity or to advocate for anything, we need human resource, and that human resource needs to understand what they're signing up for. So to start with, we are planning to build awareness around what is VTAG and who can take, who can partake in VTAG related activities and who can be a member of VTAG. That through that we will be urging our fellow Tibetans to join us in this cause, Tibet cause, and to advocate for the Tibet cause. As we all know, India being one of the largest countries in the world, landscape-wise and population-wise as well, we have demarcated for a more streamlined way of working. We have south zone of India and north zone of India. There are many things that we are planning to collaborate, as we say in Tibetan, Nubanyampung, right? So it's a collaborative effort that we are, through which we are planning certain advocacy activities. Additionally, it has been views and suggestions of many of our VTAG members that we should be the one who breaks the silos. There are many groups who are already advocating, who have they are more experienced in advocacy for advocating for Tibet. VTAG is not an organization; it is voluntary Tibet advocacy group. It is individuals who come together and work towards a cause. We would like to collaborate with other CSOs in Tibetan society and work towards our advocacy plan, such as we have advocacy need not only be a political advocacy. It can be advocacy through cultural advocacy. We have social media advocacy. We can advocate via art and movies. So without specifying, one activity to the granular level, but these are on a bigger umbrella. These are the plans that we have, and we look forward to all the contributions from all the Tibetans in India. Your contributions need not just be your time and participating in activity. It can be intellectual, it can be financial, because this is a voluntary group, and finance plays a big role. Above all, we plan to learn, as we say, learning is the first step towards, we should practice what we preach, and we should learn before we start advocating to the outside world. We would like to learn first and share our learnings with our Tibetan youngsters, who will continue our efforts in the future. And this is not only a plan. We have already, I had the good opportunity to be a part of the International Youth Forum, July this year. So we have been working since then. We have an Instagram account. If anybody searches online, DIIR Advocacy, they will find the page, the profile. Yeah, like, follow, and subscribe. I've been wanting to say that line for a very long time. So yes, that's the plan.
Conclusion. If you look at the action plans from all these three regions, some of the commonality, as were mentioned, are the structural framework of VTAG, how to recruit new members, capacity building, and improving the skills of advocacy skills of VTAG members, plans for action for the near future, and the opportunities for collaborations and coordinations, in particularly with stakeholders, and also identifying challenges and how to overcome those, as well as the sustainability and funding, which is a major part. So these were some of the common points that were brought up from the three regional meetings. As far as the CTA goes, whether through DIIR's Tibet Advocacy section or the offices of Tibet, which are our main coordinators with the VTAG members, around the world, our role is to provide guidance, facilitate, and provide resources in terms of advocacy materials or others. So in that sense, we, CTA, and particularly DIIR, will continue to work in that direction. And then now we are eagerly looking forward to VTAG members coming up with their own creative ideas. Some even could look really simple, which came among the discussions we have had during these three regional meetings, but then could be very crucial. For example, having a Tibet shelf in restaurants, posters, wherever public, it's a public, important public place. So as simple but then effective actions. So yeah, we are really looking forward to our VTAG members launching their advocacy activities for Tibet. Yeah.
So thank you so much, all four of you, for taking out your time today and to discuss this very important initiative. And I wish you all a very best of luck for the advocacy work that you're going to do in your respective countries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
VTAG stands for Voluntary Tibet Advocacy Group. This initiative of the 16th Kashak aims to bring young Tibetans across the world in its advocacy for Tibet. There are currently over 400 Tibetan youth from 17 different countries. To know more about the VTAG activities and to become a member, you can scan the code on the website showing below and follow the instruction. Thank you for watching and see you all in the next episode.